patch 7.3 is incoming, which means I don't have to talk about a patch for, I think, like 2 weeks. Woo! Hey, it's Soul. It's August 25th, 2017. This is Warcraft Weekly, and this is Bob. Let's get right to work.
Yay, work.
How was your folks' week? My week felt busy, even though I didn't seem to have gotten like a whole lot of content. Okay, maybe I did get a lot of content out, but it's just been feeling really busy with all this 7.3 huddub going on and Gamescom and all this other stuff that's been going on. I'm super looking forward to next week, but as for this week, we didn't get any progression done again. Kill Jaden kind of stomped us to the ground raid-wise, but otherwise, pretty good stuff. Toffee is still dealing with the stuff on top of his head, so if you can send some positive energy over, the whole family would really appreciate it, and thank you in advance. And as always, I'd love to ask all of you, how was your week? Did you have a win? Did you have a loss? Was there drama that went on? Anything cool or interesting that had happened either in the world of WoW or in the real filthy 3D world? Share it in the comment below. The epic story contest thingamajig that I couldn't really figure out a title for is finally done. You folks had some really awesome stories to share.
Not all of them.
That's true, but they were mostly really awesome. I said that 2 winners are going to be chosen to win a WoW token, and, well, let's get right to the first one. Sil7en writes, I'd tell one of my many wacky stories during my time as a raider, but honestly, I think my most epic story is from when I was new to the game. It was a dark and cold night around the coast of Darkshore. My night elf rogue was helping the locals as usual, still wondering about the adventures that were to come in this vast and unknown land. Although that day I felt rather explorative and decided to go off track and see what I could find while getting lost in the woods. I was around level 17 at the time and everything was still quite confusing to me as well as exciting, and I loved the dark and mysterious vibe of the place. I tried to make the most out of my exploration time, so I started gathering the herbs I occasionally found on my way. But then, I saw him. A troll hunter who apparently had the same idea as I did of gathering plants in this area, and oddly enough, he was just a couple levels higher than me. Now at the time, I didn't know much about different starting zones, but I was informed enough to know that he shouldn't have been there. So at first I imagined he was just another NPC, given the fact that I fought trolls in earlier missions, and that I could attack him. We're on a PvP server. But slowly I started to realize that his behavior was far too advanced for an AI. And when he saw me and made a rude gesture to me, I knew that this was, in fact, another player. Not knowing what to do, I simply used stealth to prevent him from attacking me, which seemed very likely when he started to jump up and shoot stuff around the area where he last saw me. He also had a piece of armor that I hadn't received or found yet. A single shoulder pad that, along with the rest of his outfit and the few extra levels, made him look and feel much more capable than me. Still nervous, all I could do was stare at him as he desperately tried to find me. I decided to scout the area, in the case he had some company that would ambush me as soon as I showed myself, but fortunately, there was no one else around. After a few moments, I decided to steel myself, for if no guard would stop this creature from invading Alliance lands, then I would, or die trying. And so, I jumped out of the shadows and started to attack him, to which he reacted immediately. Moments passed and we continued to try to kill one another. He simply keeps shooting his gun and jumps around trying to avoid me as I do my best to burn all the damage I could onto him. At one point I considered killing the pet that kept harassing me, but I knew that if I got rid of the master, then it wouldn't be much of a problem later on. Besides, I didn't want to waste damage on it if I could avoid it. More time goes by in what's starting to feel like an eternity. I bursted as much damage as I could and he continued jumping and healing out of nowhere. I couldn't understand what I was doing wrong, but despite that, I was doing my best to keep up with every skill I knew. He just simply kept running and dodging and healing from time to time. I was losing whatever edge I had in the beginning of the fight. I had no more ways to withstand his damage. I was starting to lose for good. So in one last desperate attempt with my health lower than it had gotten before, I simply rushed to him, avoiding as much as I could while allowing all my skills to recharge so I can use them on his weakened body. I reached him and bursted him as hard as I could, knowing that I would certainly die, until finally the last attack came and his pet vanished, and his body fell lifeless on the ground. And there I stood, my hands still shaking from excitement while my body was a scratch away from death, and I had won, and just barely. This was the first and most exciting PvP kill that I've ever had in WoW. Ever since then, I took an interest in doing more PvP, even if I had to do it in instances, but none of the matches I've had or raids that I've been in compared to the one-on-one battle I had with that troll. Which kind of makes me think of how fun the world PvP battles during vanilla must have been. We're going to get to the next one in a little bit, but first we're going to kind of switch gears and get to a brand new patron that has just joined us by the name of Blitzwing1. I know I saved those plugs for the end, but there's a certain reason why I wanted to bring this one up now.
Because you want to beg for more money.
Blitzwing had a question for me and I wanted to share it with all of you because, hey, you know what, you guys might have a little bit of input of your own. It was a very long question, but the TLDR, I kind of have that written down, is sort of here. The guild busted, it really sucked. He's trying to get the team back together, trying to get them up and running. What is the best way to attract people? There are lots of answers that I could give, really long-winded ones. I'll provide one. Bob, you have anything?
Yeah, topless guild calendar.
That might work, but it's not exactly the way to like keep people in. You know, he probably wants to get, you know, a really solid team. You feel me?
Oh, he'll get something solid.
Or that. If that's what you really want, Blitzwing, then go for it. But as for my tip, here we go. To attract people, some of the best ways is to just make an example of yourself and your team. So that's going to mean trying to raid anyway. That's going to mean jumping into the group finder and trying to get people in, preferably try to get people in that are on your same realm, or if you can't, then, well, oh well. But just by making an example of yourself going into a raid and showing off your guild tag and showing it off with your people, and assuming that your people perform reasonably well, that's going to rub off on people. Because there are a lot of people that are just looking for a decent guild to join, and it's pretty hard because just like it's hard for people to guild spam, it's pretty hard for people to spam themselves out, or just kind of, you know, jump around from guild to guild. That takes a lot of time, it potentially wastes a lot of energy, and, you know, feelings, it just doesn't feel good having to jump around, you know, either for them or for you guys. So again, my tip, if you want to attract people, raid. Make it known that you're trying to recruit people, you're trying to look for some solid folks, and of course talk with these people that are in your raid that don't happen to be in your guild. See if you can talk them into it. You might get lucky.
Or a hottie's phone number. Yeah.
Or that. Or for any of you folks at home or taking a dump, what ideas do you have to share for Blitzwing? You know, let him know, see if you can help him out a little bit. This week's featured YouTuber, this is thanks to Shadowflare, who lovingly reminded me that he told me twice, is Selwen. Selwen is a young kind of variety channel. One of his bigger features is that he has a lot of class guys as well as an add-on tutorial, you know, sharing what he does. Kind of familiar, right? As far as I've seen, he does mages, demon hunters, and death knights. At the same time, he does whatever the heck he wants. Lore stuff, some news, just whatever he feels like talking about. He doesn't upload that frequently, unlike some people who upload stuff all the damn time. Someone who potentially spams everyone with, you know, a lot of stream notifications and loses hundreds of subscribers. And of course, the cool thing about not uploading all too frequently is that it's not going to badger you too much. So he's someone that you can subscribe to and just take a look. Hey, you know what? What's Selwen got to say about this shit, huh?
If he uploads anything.
Well, that's okay. That's not fair. The point is, having, you know, less frequent uploads means he can up the quality, which clearly he does. He has some pretty good quality content, and it's worth taking a look. So, take a look. Of course, if any of you at home have happened to notice a WoW YouTuber that, hey, you know what? That dude, that girl, they should get a lot more attention than they should be, let me know. I'm going to put them on a list, and I'm going to feature them at some point in some weekly. Find me anyone that has less than 10,000 subscribers, and I'll be happy to take a look. And speaking of 10,000 subscribers, I seem to be on pace for hitting 8,000 pretty soon, so I want to thank everyone who has just joined the channel. You know, thank you for coming, thank you for letting me be a part of your day.
Or night.
Or night, yeah. Well, you know, if it helps you go to bed.
In a totally not sexual way.
So here's me shamelessly asking, or requesting, or pleading, or, you know, on my knees, kind of begging.
No, get back down there.
Shut up, dude. I would love it. I would absolutely love it if, by the time I go to BlizzCon, so that's going to be November 4th and 5th or something like that, if I can go to BlizzCon knowing that I have, like, 10,000 subscribers. I know that's a lot. That's big. You know, that's more growth than I'll have experienced, I think, ever. But if I can get that, that would be super awesome. I would feel really good going into it, you know, meeting some other content creators that are there saying, hey, what's up, dude? I'm Soul. SoulSoBreezy. You know, whatever. And, you know, I'd be super, like, stoked. So if you can help me out with that, cool. If not, and you think this channel's dog shit, well, what are you doing here? but feel free to, smear your taint on me in a comment below anyway. Blizzard issued another reminder, and so I'm going to do the same thing. Support for Windows XP and Vista systems is going to end in October, which means if you're running WoW or pretty much any Blizzard game, and October rolls by, you're going to find out that, hey, your shit ain't working no more. Sorry. Blizzard has been warning players about this for some time, so to be honest, if you miss out, then that really sucks. And to be honest, I do pity people that, okay, maybe pity is the wrong word.
Nah, just look down on people.
Quiet. Maybe I do feel bad for folks that, are unfortunate enough to not have an updated system and might, end up missing out because of this. It especially sucks because there's like lower powered systems. I mean, hell, you could probably power WoW on your phone at this point. You can definitely run it out on a tablet. At least that's what I've kind of sort of heard about. And there are probably YouTube videos that showcase that sort of stuff. But I encourage anyone who might be affected by this change, don't go. We want you to keep playing this damn game, okay? See what you can do, scrape up some bugs. Hell, I'm sure if you set up a GoFundMe saying like, oh, please, I just want to play the World of Warcraft, I'm sure someone will be like, oh, dude, I with my great dollar bills and shit will descend and help you out. Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I don't think that's how it works.
I don't know how any of this works, okay? On a side note, and I guess this is pretty predictable considering that 7.3 is coming, by the way, oh my god. World of Warcraft Legion is on sale. Ooh. Legion is $30 for the standard edition and $50 for the deluxe edition, at least over here on US realms. On a side note,
or a shameless plug.
Or a plug, I'm gonna launch what is kind of a review, I guess, of Legion on August 30th, which is, interestingly enough, the 1-year anniversary of Legion.
Oh, really?
I sure am, sir. I'm basically going to answer the question for those types of users who have never jumped into Legion or maybe into the World of Warcraft itself. Is it a good time to jump in? Is it too late? Does the expansion suck for that kind of user? Because the answer to that is going to be very different for those like us who've been playing Legion since day one. It might be interesting, so if you know a friend who might be thinking about jumping into Legion, just have them tune into that video when I have it out. And now, this.
Okay, John Oliver.
Well, it works, come on. Shadowflare writes, my epic story is kind of long and is more of how I started WoW, and how it led me to being in a heroic progression guild that I'm in now. It all started back in Mists of Pandaria. Patch 5.2 had just dropped and the new world boss, Undasta, was out. I was sitting next to my dad and watching him get wrecked by this big dinosaur and thought it was cool. But it was made crazier when I heard that there were well over 100 plus people trying to down this guy and they were all getting killed. It was that day that I decided to pick WoW up. Originally, I had gotten on a sub account of my dad's, but because I wanted to strike out on my own, I had my own account made. From that day right around Christmas till a year later, I worked on leveling. Now I had to take a break for school and all that, but I had hit level cap just about a week or two before the release of patch 5.4. Now at this time I was a noob and just kind of doing things here and there, some LFR and whatnot, but then the patch hit and Timeless Isle occupied my time. It was here that the start of my growth from a noob to a seasoned raider began. I passed by someone riding on a wolf mount, but this wolf mount was not like any other. It was the Cochrane Warwolf. I whispered the guy and asked him how he got that mount, and it was then that I found out the mount was tied to the Ahead of the Curve achievement for killing Garrosh. I was dead set on getting that mount. It was all I could think of and care about. Nothing was going to stop me. So I embarked on a long journey of learning my class, which is Feral, and I still main this to this day. Researching boss fights and using the systems that had been added to work my way up to the level I needed to get to achieve that kill. I progressed through Flex mode, which is now, just called normal mode, very swiftly, getting my gear score up and learning the fights as I go. Then I got to normal, and this is where things began to get interesting. I worked hard, downing boss after boss over the course of many weeks, and finally ending up at 12 of 14. I was stuck there for a long time as the last two bosses were the toughest. I managed to get 13-14 and was stagnant here for a long time. So long I was starting to get desperate. I was wanting any group that I felt had a chance. I wanted that mount. That was all I cared for. I got all my best in slot gear besides a trinket that I never got until Warlords of Draenor, and then my parents, who both played, found a guild group that needed some extra people to run with them. I got it with them and we wiped on Garrosh the first try, something that made me cringe and deflate every time, as I had wiped God knows how many times to Garrosh before this group. But after they reset, we went and killed him. The emotions and the satisfaction after I got the achievement and went out to the Timeless Isle and mounted up the Warwolf for the first time, it's something I've never forgotten. Even today, that mount has a special place for me as a testament to the work that I put into it. While my favorite mounts have changed, like the new Fox is my go-to ground mount, the Cookin' Warwolf is the mount that I am the proudest of. It's the only mount in the game that I put work into. I dedicated myself to learning how to become a raider, and obtaining that mount I knew would not be available to get much longer. Of course now, things are different for me. In Warlords of Draenor, I took a break from raiding as I had school to deal with, and WoD's raiding was not appealing to me. But in the last patch I decided I might try again, but soon found out that the groups that were very nice in Mist Pandaria had turned horrible and hard to find anything. It was then that I left my family guild, and sought out a new guild that I can join a raid team and do the content I wanted to do without the worry of the pugs. Lucky for me, I joined a guild that was building a second raid team and doing the content I wanted to do, and fell on days and a schedule that I knew I could make the times. Since then, it has been wonderful. It's one of the biggest guilds on my server and is the best choice I made. Looking back at when I started and me now, it's unbelievable the journey that I've made. Over the few short years I've joined, I went from a noob to now knowing all there is about my class, and being a raider with the experience that some don't get to in the time frame I did. This was my epic story. While it might not seem epic, it is one of the greatest things I love to look on, and it's something I take pride in. So those are the 2 winners of the WoW Epic Story, whatever the heck I'm supposed to call it, contest. I want to thank everyone who submitted their amazing stories and let you know that your stories will not go untold. I want to make an announcement that I will start a new series based on these stories and any other stories that you might be submitting to me at any point in time. It's called Tales from the Crossroads, because Tales of the Tavern was taken, and I don't want to fuck with that. And the name was my wife's idea, so this is my way of kissing her ass.
And now, she's gonna kick yours.
Maybe. This series, like I had talked about, is going to last as long as I have stories to tell. I'm going to narrate pretty much whatever story you want from me, as long as it's, safe for work, as long as it's relatively clean. And this will be fun. It'll be something to listen to while you're on the road, on your commute, if you're taking a big old dump. And it's all coming from you. These are going to be your real stories, or your really embellished stories, like I'm gonna know. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to receive these sorts of entries, but I'll just say for now, if you do have a story that you want to tell, that you want me to narrate, let me know in a comment anywhere, in any video, and just say, here's my tale.
So catchy.
That works, right?
Yeah, I'll patronize.
Yeah. So Gamescom happened, and here's the quick question. Did you hear everything that you were expecting to hear?
No.
Probably not. And just like what Ian Hazzikostas had to say, Gamescom was really all about 7-3. So curse him for keeping to his word.
Boo sauce.
Damn him for not submitting to the fandom and deciding to just wait a few months.
Cater to the real players.
And I'm just gonna ramble on this for a second.
Or an hour.
Probably. Maybe I just didn't notice this before, probably because I wasn't into YouTubing back then, but I wasn't really accustomed to people not caring about what's coming in like the next Raider patch because they wanted to know about what's happening in the next expansion. I think we're at a point where like the data mining and the PTR stuff this is the content, this is the experience. And people are soaking this stuff up like this is really their experience, this is really the content, all the stuff that they're reading and all the limited testing that they're doing on the PTR. And now that they're done with that, they're ready to move on to the next thing. It's like these certain kinds of players, they don't play the World of Warcraft, they play the World of Warcraft PTR and the alpha and the beta and so on, and they don't really care about what's going on live. Another similar element are the players that just get caught up at the hype. Like, oh my god, 7-3 is coming and this is what it's gonna be, and they get so caught up with it that by the time it comes, that hype dies down and they're like, oh, well, I already read about this shit, months ago. Ugh.
Been there, done that.
What's coming next? And, people are more focused on, like, the little tidbits that are coming out. Oh, the cool Taras tabard thingamajig, and, these little old god hints. What's going to be next? What's going to be next? And it is exciting. Those are the exciting things to talk about because we don't know yet. Once you do know, though, the mystery is gone. And for those kinds of players, so is the fun. And I feel bad because I'm a part of it. I do YouTube. I talk about what's coming. And in a way that does spoil some of the experience. At the same time, though, I don't find it all that acceptable to take these kinds of reports and this data mining and the previews and whatnot that we're looking at and taking it as the actual experience. On top of that, the sentiment from these players, and it is legitimate. I'm not trying to dismiss these kinds of feelings that these people have, but these feelings and sentiments are not representative of how the entire player base feels in any metric. Anyway, that's all I wanted to rant about, and was that okay? Was that like an hour?
No, but this video was hella long.
It was, huh? Anyway, World of Warcraft's presence at Gamescom, it was more than just that fancy schmancy announcement and the cool trailers, and you know what? Those trailers were kind of cool, I gotta admit. I mean, just going into that quick Argus cutscene really quick, it does look kind of weird. You know, it looks kind of weird how Illidan is so like chummy. It's like, dude, you were dead, you know, for however many years, like almost 10 years or so worth of gameplay at least. And then now here you are just kind of strolling around. Oh yeah, I know this place. I'm so familiar with this. Let me just talk with Velen like he's my chum. Just all relaxed and chilling and hey, what's up, girl? You know, that sort of thing. I don't know. It feels kind of weird. It feels a bit too casual for me. Or maybe he's just a dick.
Like thick and veiny?
I think so. A big purple... Anyway, there were multiple interviews with Ian Hazzikostas, and at least the ones that I kept track of are ones from Fatboss as well as Mamytwink. I'm going to read off some of the highlights that I got from it, but I'm going to include links below to both interviews. Keep in mind that the first one from Fatboss, at the moment it seems to be broken, so if I can find a working one, then I will let you know. So according to these two interviews, there will be a small patch or two after Antorus. So let's assume that there's going to be a 7.3.5 patch that introduces the Antorus raid. There's going to be one or two patches that kind of bring things together. So who knows, there might be like any kind of a transition thing where we might in fact see what will happen to our artifacts at the very, very end. We might see an additional tiny raid like the Ruby Sanctum, just please God don't bring back mechanics like Hellion. And putting aside some healthy skepticism that Ian might just be wrong about what he's planning for, it would be safe to say that what he says is going to happen is probably going to happen. This thing with all the misdirecting and like the super hidden clues, it's like, come on, this ain't some Game of Thrones shit, okay? And by that, I'm talking about the book, not the TV series.
Here we go.
They deserve it, okay? Ravens and ships and dragons, they do not go that fast and not at like the same speed, okay? There are no plans to cap Titan forging, so my hopes and prayers are already dashed at this point. I was hoping that there would be a lower Titan Forged gap before Antorus comes out. That ain't gonna happen. Of course, as for next expansion, we'll see if Titan Forging, you know, moves forward, or if it's gonna be scrapped, or if they do in fact have more balanced caps. Because I think doing weird changes like that with Titan Forging caps now at the end of the expansion, I guess it would help. It would be a band-aid, but it'd be, you know, just kind of weird at the same time. Here's to hoping that the next expansion feels a little bit more balanced. But the fact of the matter is that Ian is defending this current paradigm, and well, you can shut on him all you want in a comment below. There could be a buff for legendary drop rates after all, even though I kind of said, nah, it ain't gonna be. It very well might happen. As for how it's gonna happen, I have no idea. We're probably gonna have to wait for 7.3.5. Ideally, I think I would want or hope for a hotfix to come before that, because I wouldn't want people to, well, I don't know, I just want it to come a little bit sooner than that. There is a stat squish incoming at some point. Ian had explained that item level does weird things depending on what item level you're actually at. For example, if you're in a really old expansion, a 100 level item level difference might just mean like 1 or 2 stat differences, whereas 100 item level or so here in Legion is like the world. So it'll be very interesting to see what Blizzard does this time with regards to a stat squish, as well as, and he kind of addressed this, how item level is going to scale during a current expansion. We'll see. Even though Heroes of the Storm showcased it, Jaina Proudmoore is not a Dreadlord in the World of Warcraft. Yet. There's still no plans for a third legendary. Now, this part I agree with Ian with, that there'd be a bit too much of a balance issue with regards to balancing 3 kinds of legendaries. It'd be kind of weird, probably overpowered, but at the same time, there is one new legendary that's coming out of Antorus, and that is a ring. In my opinion, the ring doesn't do all that much. It just enhances the powers that you get from the Netherlight Crucible. I want to say that, hey, you know what? Maybe that ring should just not count towards that legendary cap. Problem would be, though, and this is just kind of me shooting out of my ass about it, is that there's probably some sort of best in slot sort of combo for some spec or class where they need to have both of their legendary rings equipped. So that means that the free third legendary ring that they get, well, they can't really use it because, well, it's no good. So that's a big loss of item level, which, by the way, is going up to 1,000 in the Antorus raid. So that could potentially suck, and I don't think Blizzard wants to out one class, at least not in this case. Finally, he defended what I call the Legion paradigm, as in having a bunch of loot hidden behind RNG and just hoping for the best. The justification behind this is kind of an anecdote, where if you're farming for what was the Dragon Spine trophy way back in Burning Crusade days, you can go for a really long time and just not get the damn thing. and that sucks. I admit that. If we were going through the Legion paradigm, we might see the Dragon Spine trophy drop, maybe multiple times in a month. But at the same time, you would have different variations of it. It might be like a really crappy one, it might be like the super best in slot item level, oh my god, praise Jesus, that sort of thing. So what that also does, it kind of waters down the value of the drop itself. It's like, oh my god, that guy has the Dragon Spine trophy. Ah! To replicate the same feelings, like I might have one and then I'll be like, oh my god, that guy has like the maximum Titan Forge Dragon Spine trophy. Ah! And it's not really the same thing, right? At some point I'm going to do a video essay on the Legion paradigm, and I've kind of talked about this before, but I'm going to dive, really deeply into this and compare it to other previous systems. So that's it for Gamescom. Let's just get it right to 7.3. It's coming. It's coming. Ah! There are tons of tips and guides and other stuff to look at. I'm gonna have links below. Blizzard released a survival guide, and about 2.5 hours later, I released a survival guide. And you know what? It's better. It's so much better. Taliesin and Nevital took a look at it, and here's what they thought.
Disappointing.
You see? They fucking loved it.
You're so deceptive.
Shut up. Here's some quick PSAs right before the patch comes out. If you do Mythic Dungeons, get yourself through a 10. For this week, it's going to get you the highest item level gear that you can get from that weekly chest of disappointment. After that, you're going to have to once again hit a plus 15 in order to get the highest item level loot. If you still have Nether Shards and you care about relinquished gear, blow it all right now. The relinquished vendor is going to go away. If you have any Legion resources left, turn them all in, or try to farm as many as you can. You're not going to get Legion fall boxes from those turn-ins any longer. Of course, in a welcome display of consistency, there are patch notes available, and I'm going to provide a link below. And because I didn't mention some of these before, I'll read an excerpt from the very bottom that has to do with some of the interface options. A button to summon your random favorite battle pet has been added.
Oh my god.
Legendary quests now display as orange markers on your map.
Wow.
Legion dungeon and raid maps now have clickable icons to link submaps, making it easier to navigate between floors.
Amazing.
Mountain pet unlocks have a unique toast.
What?
The dressing room pane is now larger.
And Vadier?
The shop has a new checkout interface.
Cash money.
And you can turn left and right with the move pad accessibility feature. What is that? I don't know. And that pretty much wraps it up, right, man?
Finally.
Alright. As always, I want to thank all of you for watching and letting me and Bob be a short part of your day. One more shout out to Blitzwing, thank you very much, and if you want to become a fellow patron, hey cool, go ahead and click somewhere down below, take a look at what I have to offer, which is mostly like dumb outtakes and a lot of thank yous. And if you want to be a part of the fam, hey, feel free. One more shout out goes to Booho, who made a couple of very, very generous donations to the channel. Thank you tons, I appreciate it, and I hope to not let you or anyone else down. As always, support me the best way you know how, and hey, if I can get to 10,000 subs before BlizzCon, oh my god. That would be hella awesome, oh my god. I'll do some stupid ass dance or something, you'll love it.
Nope.
No, yeah, you're right, no, we won't. Anyway, like, sub, share, comment, tell me this video is a piece of dog shit, whatever you want. I'm out for the weekend, and I'll see you folks on Argus. You all have a good one, stay safe, stay happy, stay breezy.
Yeah, that's right, bend over, girl, yeah.
Shut up.